and welcome to a very special cover story conversation. Well, as Washington gets possessive about its cutting edge technology, what does this mean for countries like India that rely heavily on foreign technology? I'm, of course, talking about a recent US directive that has asked Anthropic to block access to its advanced AI models, including Fable 5 and Mythos 5, to all foreign nationals and foreign countries, citing national security. How can then India protect its own sovereignty? That is a question that I'll be asking to a very informed and articulate panel. In fact, both my panelists have been the first of the mark in citing what lies ahead and how India should be prepared. I have with me TV Mohandas Pai. He is an Indian entrepreneur, public intellectual. He is a co-founder of Iron Capital and a former board member and CFO of Infosys. In fact, Mohandas Pai's comments asking Prime Minister Modi to launch a comprehensive AI national mission after the US lockdown on advanced AI has gone viral on social media. I also have with me Pranjal Sharma. He's an author and economic analyst who writes on technology, geopolitics, and inclusive growth. In fact, Pranjal is out with his very well-timed book, India Innovates Technological Sovereignty in a Weaponized World. It has a foreword by Mohandas Pai also. So this is a book that is not just timely, but also flags of concerns that should worry all of us. Pranjal, because this is a topic that I'm not very familiar with, I'm going to ask you to start and telling us, the need of the hour, this whole weaponization of technology, how that helps us and what India really needs to do. If you can just set the paradigms of the conversation, then I'll ask Mr. Pai to come and tell us.
Thanks, Pia, and great to be with Mohan. He was kind enough to write the introduction for the book, so he has deep experience. But broadly, tech sovereignty means that how do you ensure that on critical technology systems, both digital, AI, manufacturing, how does one country ensure that it has enough control so that it is not blackmailed literally by other external forces, which doesn't mean that we disconnect from everybody globally, but it just means that we have enough in our own system to be able to thwart any effort to weaponize it and to hold it over our head as a sword, that if you do not follow our interests, then we are going to stop this for you. And it's, in a sense, it's not new, because if you look at in the era, we had concepts of tech transfer. We had concepts where, countries would offer us technology, but in return, we had to do something for them. Then post the nuclear testing, a lot of the high tech was prevented from reaching India. So there have been several efforts at that, but the fundamental concept is every country now wants to have critical infrastructure and technology within its own control and influence.
So, Pai, I've been also following your Twitter line. You've been really timeline. You've been taking this issue up. The fact is, with Washington getting possessive about cutting edge technology, how does India react? Because at any point, any startup or any weapon security system will suddenly stop getting access to technology. So, how do we counter this?
Well, I think India has been very complacent in this matter. It's been coasting along, going along, and we had a good show. We are a services giant. We are not invested enough in products or deep technology. Government keeps talking about it. We have that 100 lakh crores RDI fund, which is just not invested for the last 2 years. Now we hear they invested some money. So we have been very complacent. We have been coasting along. The problem today, in a larger context, is we are very vulnerable to many issues around the world. And the Iran war has shown our vulnerability. Let me explain, and technology is one of them. One is we're vulnerable to oil. China reached peak oil last year for transportation. They'll reach peak oil next year. When oil prices goes up, economy goes into spin. We're vulnerable to many minerals, especially rare earths, etc., copper, etc. And we're vulnerable to shipping. We don't have enough shipping capacity, right? We are not invested enough. We're investing now. We're vulnerable to chips and electronics. We are large importers building up now with PLI. And we're vulnerable to technology. And we are vulnerable to technology because the basic building blocks of technology are from America or outside. Let me give you some details. For example, the entire Office suite of Microsoft, the database for Oracle, and of course, social media is fine. We can do with our social media, Twitter, etc. We can do that. We had Coup for social media, which unfortunately went down because we didn't invest enough. And now, when it comes to AI, in the last 3 years, there has been an upsurge. AI has been around for the last 15, 20 years. We had open AI as a public, as a not-for-profit for many years. Till about 3 years ago, decided to go for a for-profit organization with ChatGPT. Then we had Anthropic coming, a team which left ChatGPT and came out. So we have about 5 or 6 large LLMs come up in America. Why did the LLM come up in America? They came up in America because one, a huge amount of hypercloud capacity came up in the US. Two, there's a huge amount of capital that went into AI once ChatGPT released its first version of a LLM. Till then, it is quiet. And after that, they're going bonkers. This year, the US is investing $1 trillion into hypercloud and building AI. And next year, $1 trillion, so maybe $2 to $3 trillion. Somebody said that the total world investment of about $4 trillion is now going to $7 trillion. So this has become very huge. And now Anthropic has released something called Mythos, which can reportedly get into anybody's system and point out flaws and hack. And, if it goes into criminal hands, it goes into some spooks of any country, they can hack into any system and bring it down. So that's very dangerous and everybody is scared. I mean, all financial institutions, regulators are very scared. They're setting up teams, including RBI. Suddenly we have this to say that we cannot, we are not going to give you access to Mythos or foreign nationals. We're not going to give it to Fable, etc. So we are very vulnerable to many things in technology. And that vulnerability is something that all of us have to sit down. And the vulnerability is a result of lack of investment in that particular area. Now,
Mohan, can I request you, when we say vulnerability, I think a lot of people don't understand what it means. What is the worst case scenario if something like this happens? I mean, one is, of course, data can be stolen, if people can be influenced, but how do you see vulnerability?
Okay, let me say this. Our email network is largely based on Gmail. Now, can Google turn it off? Yes. Because the NSA of America and President Trump can say, you can't give Gmail to anybody. You are a US company, turn it off. They'll turn it off. Microsoft turned off, Microsoft suite of products with Naira in India. Remember?
Yeah, and SAP and Naira, SAP and Microsoft both basically, Priya, as you remember last year, Naira Energy is a refinery in India because they were buying Russian oil. They were told by their government that they should stop offering services to the company. So both SAP, which is German and European, and Microsoft, which is American, both of them overnight stopped services.
So the company came to a standstill. They could not communicate. They cannot run their business. Now, Oracle is an American database company. They can shut you off. Will they shut you off? Because, see, today, President Trump has shown that America is capable of anything, irrespective of consequences. They don't care. What they care is what they think is right. They don't care. And they can turn it off, and their companies will follow them. And then, in chip technologies and others, we do not build up enough capacity. We don't have enough chips. They can turn on the chip supply to India in electronics. So we are very vulnerable. Our entire IT system is based upon products which come from outside. We are not encourage our own companies. We don't buy from own companies. Only now government of India has bought from Zoho. Do you remember the time when most government servants used Gmail? Government of India used Gmail.
Yeah.
I mean, they should have had the sense to say we are not going to be on this kind of system. Fortunately for us, defense has gone there. Now look at all our data. Where is our data stored? Data is stored.
Cloud.
Data on data centers run by Microsoft, run by Google, and run by AWS, etc. Even though they're here, but we don't know where the data is. Data could be in India. Data could be outside. They're all subject to American law. Fortunately for us, Reserve Bank of India have told everybody that all the data for payments have to be in India. Many years back when Dr. Ujjit Patel was there, and we are saved there. Our banking data is here because banking software is run by two Indian companies, Infi and TCS. So if you look at all the technologies that are used to run business in India, a large part are American technology. Today we are vulnerable. So I think this AI is the latest one. AI is the latest of that because we are seeing this new version of, Claude come. We are seeing the new version of everything come. So in AI, we must focus on open source. See what China.
Yeah, can I just interrupt you? Just the timeline of what happened with you refer to the breach in Mythos 5. That is what was flagged, and after that is that when President Trump issued a directive saying stop because there was a security breach, or was it more political and personal? Because there was also apprehension by the producers and the owners and developers in terms of the way this technology was being used by the US government.
See, the US government is telling its AI companies, you must first give it to us for use and we must approve it, blah, blah, blah. And Anthropic did not do that, right?
Right.
The request, Anthropic did not do that. So because Anthropic did not do that, the Defense Department kicked them out. The Defense Department kicked them out. So that, and then this canard of a breach of security because the Mythos hit them, but they would have been thinking about Mythos because see, Mythos is a security software which can find vulnerabilities in anybody's IT system. And it's been very successful in finding vulnerabilities, so it can become a weapon of mass destruction. Please remember, it's very powerful being AI. It can be used by any intelligence agency to hack into any government systems and bring them down. Please remember that. So that's why they said don't give it to anybody because they were scared the Chinese will steal it and they'll build their own system and America will lose its edge. So it's all built on each other. This was only an event. This event triggered something, but I think personally it would have happened anyway.
But Pranjal,
sorry, go ahead, Priya.
No, I was going to just ask you to add to this because you also, speak about the dangers of digital monopolies and how India should not develop its own sovereignty. And there is Sarvam that is being developed. What exactly is it? And I saw a very nice line on Mr. Mohandas Pai's timeline. I think some user was asking him, can it be the new Maruti of India? Can Sarvam be the new? So if you can just explain that to our viewers.
Okay, so maybe Mohan, I'll request Mohan to speak first.
See, Sarvam is among the 10 AI companies which have been picked up under the Indian AI mission to give large quantums of GPU capacity to test out their software. So the AI company which is working for Indian languages to create products so that we can communicate in any language, get it translated to any other language instantaneously. It will help expand the flow of knowledge to different parts of society who are not English speaking. And it will literally enable government to do things better and people to communicate, etc. And but the total data points in terms of billion data points is only 1/10 of what something like ChatGPT and Claude and others have done. So it is a low-cost version, the Indian way, with working in India for a specific purpose. It is not a horizontal thing available for the world. It's very specific to India. Now Sarvam is using that to build on more products. Now, look, Sarvam just got about $300 million of capital, right? I mean, people like Anthropic and ChatGPT get 30, 40, $50 billion of capital per year.
And there's an IPO coming up.
Yeah, but IPO is coming.
So it's billions versus millions, Priya. And I think what Mohan is also establishing, see, at one end, there is a Chinese technology ecosystem. One end, there is an American-led technology ecosystem. Regions like Asia, India, and Europe, I would even argue, are somewhere in the middle. We are actually in some ways vulnerable to both. We are dependent on both. I think the question today is, what can we do to build our own ecosystem, have our own feet on the ground? Sarvam is a very good example, but it's not adequate. It's a great beginning, but maybe we need 10 more companies like that. But this is where I think a government private sector collaboration partnership is important. See, people are talking about 1 lakh crore of grant, but maybe we need 5 lakh crore of grant. We need the right kind of systems. We need the right kind of trust projects where government says, well, not just that I'm going to invest in help these Indian companies, but also be the user of that. One of the problems that Indian government has had in previous decades is that we want to talk about Make in India, but a lot of the institutions within the government, so the polity says, yes, we should do it, but the institutions are geared towards external trade. If you look at manufacturing of a wide variety of of products, including, let's say, pumps, which are used in household, but also in nuclear technology. If you want to look at power hardware, if you want to look at telecom hardware, our entire public sector ecosystem is geared towards importing and not buying from within the country, because they have a sense that, it's easier to do it. Of course, there are lobbies and vested interests, but the point is that government's role here is important, because not only should it invest in domestic capability, but also be the buyer of that domestic capability. Maybe, Mohan, you could add to this.
See, let me lay out an agenda of what has to be done to build resilience. Okay, let us look at mundane things, then come to sophisticated things. First, GMA. Government of India, parastatals, and everybody funded by government like universities should move to an email system which is in India, data kept in India by an Indian company, and Zoho is already there. Maybe other companies are there. There's a company in Jaipur which does email in Indian languages based in India. So we got that. They will shift and become users. It's for government. Second, we must ask government to fund 5-6 companies who are going to build our own LLMs using open source technology like Llama of Meta, which DeepSeek did. What did DeepSeek do? DeepSeek built an LLM which has about fidelity of 8 digits after the decimal point, whereas ChatGPT is 32 digits. That means it's not as sophisticated as ChatGPT, but it's good enough. Why can't we ask 5-6 companies to bid for it and to build? And the defense sector can be a customer, because the defense requires a network which is protected, right? So they want to build their own LLM, and they can use that LLM to build simulation software for warfare like China has done and America has done. Second could be the research institutions of India. They should build their own LLM from one of these companies. And the third could be other sectors like oil and gas, and then Indian private sector. I'll come to the private sector. So we need funding from government. Why do we need funding from government? Because all this comes out of R&D. R&D has to be done in a very big way. The Indian industry does not have the capacity for this, because it requires billions of dollars, and many users. And we can do it cheaply, maybe $1 to $2 billion, because DeepSeek has shown the way. And we can do something which is 85-90% of ChatGPT and Claude, and do something. Now, as far as vibe coding is concerned, what Claude does, there are many 4 or 5 startups which are doing that, but they're not getting capital. See, our problem is not lack of innovation. Our problem is not lack of people. Our problem is we don't have a deep enough capital system which can go on funding people for long. Government of India and state government give 10 lakh crores every year for subsidies and other matters. They're not even investing 50,000 crores per year on innovation. Why can't we say government of India and state government will invest 50,000 crores, starting with government of India putting 50,000 crores, they spend 52 lakh crores a year, and for 5 years we're going to fund it, to fund our funds and to startups in deep tech areas, and be generous about the rupees. It doesn't matter. That RNI fund, that RDI fund, is just that they're going to give some grant for 2 years. They did not do much. Only now they're doing it. And I'm hearing that they allocated money, but they're saying unless you bring money equal to that, we're not going to release money. Something like that. I don't know. I got to find out what it is. So we need capital. We need a mission. That's why I suggested we need a national AI mission headed by Nandan Nilekani, because Nandan has built large systems. He understands technology from both sides, user side to the producer side, to give us a roadmap in the next 3 months. What we have to do in multiple areas, including defense, including government, including R&D, and government should fund that. And once government funds that, private sector will come in. See, today for startup, private sectors are funding. We also need government funding because it has to scale up very, very fast. The risk capital has to come from government. It has come from government in China. It has come from government in America. It has come from government in Russia. In all other countries, come from government in France. France has a $36 billion fund, which has funded Mistral. Mistral is a big AI company. They're getting money from that fund. So what have we done in India? Peanuts. We got an AI machine, 11,000 crores, which is buying GPUs, rationing it out. They've done a good job. But 11,000 crores is too small. See, today, we need scale. We need things larger, and we need speed. Speed cannot come from government. The RDI has shown that speed cannot come from government. Why can't they give the 50,000 crores per year to SBI to manage? SBI knows how to manage. The Indian National, the biggest bank, because government doesn't trust private sector. They don't trust anybody. They're suspicious. Give it to SBI, they're their own bank, and then ask them to work in the private sector and do. Look, we have to think big. We have to move fast. We have got to put rupees on the table to make it work, to build resilience, so we are not under threat of being choked out from new technologies, up-to-date technologies, nor are we at the risk of having a system subverted by something like Mythos being used by security agencies' forces.
I'm going to take a break and come back and talk to, raise the question of what the Prime Minister said at G7. He also raised the issue of digital sovereignty. How serious is he, and will he listen to what Mr. Mohandas Pai is suggesting? So stay with us. Hello and welcome back to a cover story conversation. We are taking a look at the issue of digital sovereignty and what India can do. Really, we are really far behind in the race. I couldn't, agree with Mr. Pai with the roadmap that he etched out. So, can we actually deliver on this? Is the Prime Minister aware of the need, the urgency of it, Pranjal? How did you react to his comments at G7?
I think the Prime Minister is very clear, and his ministries are also very clear about the direction. But as Mohan also mentioned, it's the action which counts, it's not just the direction. Point
Right.
one. Point two, I think there is also a level of political economy which needs to be managed. In fact, I have a question for you, Priya, which is that if, let's say, the government goes and puts 5 lakh crores, 10 lakh crores, and says that, okay, companies go and invest and create your own systems, how will the opposition react? There is also this, I think there is also a political fear that if you give grants of this level to private companies, the distrust level in the opposition is so high that they will say, well, this is a scam. While if you see in an open society like
But so long as
US,
you don't restrict it to two companies and you share the pie, I think that's
no,
also
that's
the
fair
part
enough.
of the opposition's
Fair
problem.
enough. But as you could create a fund, you could have 20 companies. China, for example, we have a lot to learn from China, if you ask me, that they had the national champions concept 20 years ago. And if you see all the big Chinese digital giants from Alibaba to Tencent, etc., they were all created because government identified them and said, okay, here is the money, go and develop for the country. And now they've become huge, they have monopoly globally in many sectors, but also they are dominating the Chinese market. And to that extent, American companies have not been able to compete with the Chinese companies in many of these sectors. So fundamentally, the structure is important. And my question to you, therefore, is that let's say if the government says that we'll have a national champions program, top 50 companies will be taken and we'll give them, 5 lakh crores or 10 lakh crores. How do you think the political system will respond? Because without that, it's very difficult to push it through.
No,
So,
Pranjal.
Mr. Pai, yeah, how will they react? You're an expert in reading reactions.
Pranjal, let us understand the question of survival. Let me give you some data. When the LPG price went up because of the Iran war, we were in trouble. We got 34 crore households who use LPG. If LPG supply comes down and we don't have enough storage, what happens to all of them? We should at least increase storage to 90 days, 120 days, right? And price shot up. Now price of LPG, one gas is got to 3,000 rupees. Come on, give me a break. Can people afford that? What did we do? 85% of oil is imported. We have to look at vulnerability for oil. In technology, 100% of much of the technology in IT is imported. We are vulnerable. And President Trump has shown the true colors of hegemon that he can turn it off and they don't care. So far, we have been basking in the benevolence of the West, because the West controls digital monopolies. All of them are there. And look at the investment they're making. The 5, 6 big companies are putting $700 billion. This year, $1 trillion into hypercloud. $1 trillion is what the whole of India invests every year. But they're putting $1 trillion. They'll put $2 to $3 trillion. Who has got the capacity? Nobody in the world has got the capacity except America and China. China is not a benevolent power for anybody. They want to control everybody. And America is also showing they're not a benevolent power. They want to control because Americans are very scared. They spend money, they create a technology. China will steal or use it, come up with something, give it away free to destroy them. And in between these two giants, everybody is stuck. Europe is stuck. India is stuck. India, because we are not invested enough. India has human capital. India has capability. We can also do it. But we need the money. And not much money, Pranjal. We need 50,000 crores a year. Because please remember, even if you give money, the absorption capacity is limited. The absorption capacity is limited. See, in AI, the big companies like TCS, Infosys will build vertical AI. Vertical AI domain expertise. But we are not building horizontal AI like ChatGPT and Claude. In Claude, which is an application on top of AI for writing code, we have got startups which are doing what is called white coding, which are building that kind of stuff. But they need capital. In America, you got somebody who puts $4-5 billion. In India, you got somebody who put 30-40 million. How do you compete? Tell me, how do you compete? I mean, many people in India abuse the big IT companies, abuse everybody. You are not done it. They don't understand where is the money. Show the money first, and we can do so many things. The money is lacking, and money has to come from public sources for high risk innovation. And even the government invests 50,000 crores, 1%. Government of India, state government are giving 10 lakh crore as subsidy. Or 10 lakh crore, 1 lakh crore is stolen because it goes to undeserving people. Put 50,000 crore for job creation. 50,000 crore, you'll create 2 to 3 lakh jobs. Young people will get jobs. We'll build technology. We will build many things. Look,
But these are all long-term solutions.
not long
Yes.
term, 2 years, 3 years. In the next 1.5 years, we can come out with something like DeepSeek because technology is advanced so much. 1.5 years, you can come out. Sharmam came out with this in just 1.5 years, right? They came in 1.5 years. And we just got some 30,000 GPUs, 40,000 GPUs. One company in America will have 200,000 GPUs. We are vulnerable in many sectors. We got to move fast. See, the problem with government of India is they announced the AI mission 4 years back. I mean, what have you got? 11,000 crores. Give me peanuts. 11,000 crores less than with 3 days spending in America. We need larger amounts of money. We need private sector. We need speed. That RDI, where is the speed? 2 years, nothing. Even now, 1 quarter is over. They got to spend 20,000 crores this year. 1 quarter, June is over. They said they gave some 2,000 crores. We are not seeing the money go. Balance the year, you must do it. This should be work in progress, right? So we need speed, we need scale, and then we need to get the public-private companies in to put partnership. If governments put 50,000 crores, private sector can put 2 lakh crores. They'll put the money. I think we need that, and we need a full-time IT minister.
No, I agree with you. We need the leadership also, and Nandan is a very good name, as suggested by him. But is the intent there? The main thing is the intent. Then all this follows. Pranjal,
So Prime Minister, I'm sure, understand this because see, he has seen this kind of AI. I mean, he's a very avid techie. He understands technology very well. He knows what has happened to Mythos. He knows what President Trump is doing. He knows what is happening. He knows what China is doing. I'm sure when he comes back from France, he should come back by now, he's going to set things into motion because he knows how vulnerable India is. Look, the biggest vulnerability, look at LPG. 40% of LPG is shut off. 34 crore households. If they don't get LPG,
interesting point. I just want to give a slightly wider perspective. Priya and Mohan has deep understanding of political history as well. See, in the war, around the world wars, between the world wars and post-war world, the strongest countries were those which had the biggest army. Their defense and army capabilities defined the national strength globally. In the next era, it was their economic strength, how big their industry was, their industrialization was, their company was, how many MNCs they had. That was the second phase, and that defined who the strongest country was. And that's why you see OECD countries came up because they had the strongest economies in the world, including Korea and Japan. In the current phase, the countries which have the strongest technological capabilities will be the global champions. It doesn't matter what your economy is, it's what is your level of capability. So today, when leaders like Mohan argue for lakhs of crores to be invested in technology, it is not just for the tech sector. It is for the country, it's for the economy, it's for the society. Because if India, it's just not enough to say we are 4th or 5th biggest economy in the world. Your true strength is no longer GDP. Your true strength is going to be your technological capacity and capability. I think that has to go across the polity.
Okay, as we end, Mr. Pa, our Prime Minister loves slogans. So we have Digital India. So what is the next slogan for him that you would say?
AI India.
AI India. Well, here we come.
AI India.
AI India. Thank you so much, both of you. And for someone, a novice like me, you've helped me understand the gravity of the situation. So I think this conversation is going to help a lot of people and reach out to a lot of people. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.